So, gotta be responsible with the message that I'm putting out to be sure that it's not misleading. Promoting and enabling dysfunction, oppression, injustice, it will not go unanswered by karma. Understand? So let me clarify before we go into this interview with Shannon P. over at the channel Can You Relate? Link will be in the description. Monogamy or polygamy, polygyny, people's hearts get involved. And we should consider it a trust. When someone is vulnerable enough to place their heart into your hand, to be trusted with someone's heart, it's not something that you want to fail at. You don't want to betray that trust. It's a tragedy to break someone's heart. It is a tragedy to create pain that was unnecessary, avoidable, unwarranted. Do no one any harm, and do yourself no harm. Going headlong into polygamous ideals behind your sexual desires, or just because you have access to it, to experiment. We should never experiment with someone's heart on the line, with someone's reputation on the line. A relationship or marriage where you're in the 8th house, you have invested together. You've suffered, you've sacrificed, you've gone through much together. And now you have a bright idea to embark on a journey that involves risk and possibilities that may not be predictable. Outcomes that may not be predictable. Let's be realistic. We know what our nature is as men, but it's not a ticket to oppress and cause pain and injury and regret, destruction, carelessness. Misfortune is being created. Mischief is being created. Oppression is being created. Passionate argument and dispute is being created when people come together without something to do. To be productive is first. That is monogamous and polygamous. There has to be something to do, to commit to devote to focus on, besides yourselves. A relationship that comes together just to focus on each other is perversion. It is violence. You will never see peace. You will destroy each other. We're not here to make each other our object, our mission and focus. What is your project? What is your vision? What is your purpose? What part of the kingdom of heaven are you trying to construct, create, innovate, to deliver out into the world? If you don't have that clarified, you should not seek a woman. What a woman invites you to, even if she invites you to herself, you should respect yourself enough. Respect yourself enough as men, as a man, not to oblige to it if you don't have work for her to do. You should have it clarified in yourself what your purpose is, why you're here, what you need to accomplish it, what you believe in, what your values are, your do's and your don'ts, your taboos, your philosophy, your principles. All of these things should be clarified in you. Because she needs your containment and infrastructure above all things. That is your first provision. Not money. She's a helpmeet. She's an exponent, a multiplier, a garden for all the seeds of thought that you have, for every vision that you have conceptualized so that it can grow through her. This does not come in the face of your struggling and surviving. That's your portion as a man to endure and extract the wisdom out of it, because you're going to need it where you're going. She's not there to help you to survive. She's there to help you to create and innovate. There's a difference. If you're in survival mode, you don't have it together. Don't do it. Avoid the trouble for yourself. If you should consider polygamy or polygyny, please have clarity about your purpose, what it takes, what talents and skill sets that you need to help you to meet those goals. The personality traits that would be supportive for you. Because if you don't have something for them to do, your own perversion is going to expose you. The circumstance itself will consume you and eat you alive. You won't make it. Purpose. Mission. That you have clarified and you have set out to complete as a task, a mission. In essence, your legacy. That's what she's there for. And legacy is not a poetic word. Something you just pick up and say because you've seen somebody on a podcast talking about it. Let's get to the bag. Be original. Be yourself. Search your own heart for what it means in there. She's there to help you to materialize and create the concept that you have seeded from faith and self-awareness, your connection with God. And furthermore, I want to add, where are you going without God? Women are creatures of mystery, and only God can reveal their mystery to you. And in shadow, only God can expose it for you to know and see before it does harm to you. You can't understand a woman without knowing God. And it's not because she is God. It's because she is God's mystery. Understand? You have already betrayed yourself if you are not in love with God. You're already lost. You're helpless. Money can't help you. Surrounded by people, it cannot help you. Your job, your career, it cannot help you. Man is helpless without his relationship with God. You are more likely to see a UFO and a gray alien beam down out of it and come and shake your hand before you run into a woman who actually believes in God. That's where you come in at. You bring God into her life. Not in your word and your character, your spirit, your attitude, your influence, your presence. You bring righteous order, good fortune, clarity, confidence, instruction, guidance, unwavering faith. Without God, we are pretending to have these things. Understand? So listen and consider some details that I learned from my experience with polygyny, my mistakes with polygyny, and my conclusions with polygyny. And I cannot emphasize enough, if you already have a wife, you already have a woman, I don't know how you think you will pull this off if you already have a woman or you already have a wife, because you're not going to be able to do it without hurting her, without damaging her. And that's not worth it. Don't destroy someone. Don't hurt someone. Don't damage someone. Don't do it. It's selfish. And if you go about doing it, do it clean. Do it with integrity. Do it honestly. Do it faultless. Don't say or do with other women what you can't say and do in front of her. Understand? We don't have strength. We don't have manhood if we don't have integrity. Understand? If you are someone who has not clarified their purpose, if you have not overcome your stages of survival, where you lack stability, security, self-sufficiency, and surplus in your life, at your own strength, by your own hand, by your own grit, solo, don't even think about it. Save yourself the karma of hurting people. Don't do it. You cannot be in the status of survival. You cannot be in the status of figuring yourself out. You cannot be in the status of identity crisis. You cannot be in the status of confusion within yourself. You cannot be lacking wisdom and surround yourself with women, or you will regret it. They will destroy you, and not because they intended to. You won't make it. Do not bring women together if you are not already stable, in surplus, in clarity of mind for yourself by your own hands. Don't do it. Before you gather women together, be certain, be active, and be involved in manifesting the vision that you have over your life, your purpose. What are you here for? If you did not get in touch with your purpose and why you are here on earth, just don't bother. Don't hurt anybody. If you don't know exactly what God called you to do, don't bother. Don't do it. They are there to help you with God's purpose that's in your heart. Not to fulfill your lust, your impulsiveness, your greed, your ego. Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. Be wise enough to know that you are bringing together skill sets, personality and talent, experience that gets the job done. Not a sweet honeymoon. Because post-nut clarity, you're going to be disillusioned and you're going to find out that you inherited responsibility that's going to greatly outweigh many of the moment's pleasures. Understand? So be wise. If you have a woman already that loves you, that treats you fair, you're married, you have a contract with her, and when I say married, I'm not talking about the state. Please do not harm any woman who is trusting you. Do not distress her. Don't drive her crazy and mad with lust and ego. If you have a purpose, a mission, and she in her capacity is insufficient to accomplish that, I'm sure you can justify that if you give sincere explanation. But you're not going to be able to give sincere explanation if you yourself are not sincere about why you want to do it in the first place. You should be sincere. And that sincerity is not going to come if you don't have clarity about yourself, the intent over your life, the intent over your purpose, your destiny. You don't get women and then get your destiny. No, that's backwards. Because that's what she's there for, to help you accomplish those things. She's not there to help you survive. She's there to help you to thrive, to accelerate, to expand, to make your best impression upon the world market. She's there for efficiency. She's there to loan you her magnetic force to attract to you that which will positively react to your creative forces. She is the magnet in your life. She brings magnetism into your life. Multiplying all of your investments. Understand. So before you listen to this, please, you're not going to blame it on me. You're not going to point at me if you go out here and do something stupid. Because I don't condone that. Understand?
I want you to first first of all, I have my co-host on the line, Ifa Bukola. I am doing a one-on-one interview today of Ifa Bukola because, as we all know, Ifa Bukola practices polygamy. And as he said on our previous podcast episode that we've had, he's been very forthright about what he practices and believes. And so we've had some comments from you guys, wanted to know a little bit more about that, more questions that are a little more personal. I wanted to get one-on-one with Ifa Bukola to kind of ask what his experience was and just to kind of get more of that personal inside scoop. So thank you for joining us this evening, Ifa Bukola.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Just so I put a disclosure out there, you know, I do care about the reputation and character of other people. So as I reply, I'm going to reply in respect to the other person. If I should be asked a question that relates to another person, okay? So
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So first of all, can you share a little bit about your background and what led you to, decide you wanted to do polygamy?
Well, if I can go back as far as I can to where it first became a thought, It was a thought that I didn't necessarily label, name, or even understand. My first two uh, situations, with the opposite sex that I would have called a relationship, um, was with two women, at the same time. And these two women, one was younger and one was much older. And I was at a crisis with them one day when one of the captains in the FOI, or Fruit of Islam, which is a branch of security in the Nation of Islam. Okay, I was an FOI member. He noticed that I was bringing a friend of mine to the mosque, or to the temple, and he inquired about her. That he was concerned about my character, and that he wanted me to be mindful not to you know um, get sexually involved, or be distracted, or create regrets for myself. You understand? And also to remain focused in
Right.
my duties and my post. With what they were grooming me for. Because
Yeah.
the FOI is a mentorship, as you know, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, you have that background, so the FOI is a mentorship. So they wanted to be sure that I wouldn't get into something that I would regret. All right. So, in addition to that, I had this other woman who, I had interest in. They both knew each other. Okay. They were aware of each other. It was out in the open, and um, it was something that I felt was very natural. Very comfortable to me, very natural. They were accepting of it. They didn't have a problem, and that's when I first became aware of. Ever since that time, is how I seen it, for myself. I couldn't see it any other way. It doesn't make sense to me. Why am I going to be with one woman, and I know one woman is not what I want?
Mm. Well, that definitely led me into my next question because I definitely was going to ask you, what does polygamy mean to you personally? I guess, how does it align with your values and your lifestyle? And I guess you just kind of answered that. Are you Muslim? How does it align with your background? Is it because of your Muslim beliefs or practices, or is there something else?
Well, I just recognize it as my nature as a man.
Okay.
And Islam is what helped me to see that there's an appropriate way. There's a way of in integrity to respond to my nature. To where it doesn't become oppressive for myself or for others. Just because I see in myself that it's my nature to experience more than one woman at one time. It doesn't mean that I should be reckless, irresponsible, or oppressive with it. So it's Islam that gave me insight and understanding that showed me that responsibility, integrity, values should pair with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So going back to your first experience with polygamy, what challenges made it unsuccessful?
Okay. So I had an unsuccessful experience with polygyny, and I call it unsuccessful because um, I'm not still married that way. Okay.
Mm,
And I really put it on myself because as a man, we're supposed to be the managers, those who are accountable for how an operation is moving and going. And I do believe that I was impulsive, okay, and ahead of my own wisdom, ahead of my own understanding, and what it would take to show up for that responsibility in full capacity. And although in the first one that I experienced, it lasted 8 years. Okay, it wasn't an
wow.
easy 8 years. It wasn't a smooth 8 years at all.
Mhm.
However, the good definitely came with the bad. Um, but what led to the end of it, is really my own lack of maturity and my lack of understanding.
Okay. In life, personally, or as a husband?
I would say with myself, which didn't equip me to uh, show up responsible as a husband. You know, um, because everything that we do is is simply reflected through ourselves, what we understand about ourselves. So I really think it was a crisis with myself, if anything.
Well, what would you say your biggest thing that you learned from your first attempt at, practicing polygamy?
The first thing that I learned is that the honeymoon ends very fast. Okay. So if you have any fantasy or idea that, oh, I got two women, this is great. Okay. Um, you're up for a very speedy lesson of disillusionment. Okay. Because after the honeymoon of the situation, essentially you're in the middle as a counselor, a
Hmm.
teacher, a manager, a person who finds solutions, someone who keeps everyone around you confident in a space of clarity. Okay. And you interpret between two people who are emotionally very sensitive, and you have to make sure that emotional security is there, because emotional security is the food of a woman. I learned that very fast.
Hmm.
And what else I learned very fast was women are not me and I'm not women. We have different natures, and it's not for me to subject her to my nature, or for her to think like me or to be like me. It's for her to be like her. And there's benefit in her being the way that she is. And if I learn to create peace and harmony while not trying to change who she is, I become wiser. And it took me a long time to learn that.
Do you think it'll be easy for you to implement that as well as some other different strategies you came up with to ensure a success the next go around?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot that I learned. There's a lot that I understand now, that I know um, can not only make the difference, but it gives me predictability as well.
Hmm. What are some of the changes you think you'd make?
The changes that I would make is being clear about my vision and my purpose, that I would invite them to assist me with, to help me with. Because if I don't have something that I'm creating, expanding, offering out into the world, I don't have a need for a woman. And it took maturity to grow in me to understand and accept that. Because the sexual impulses, the joy, the pleasure that you can get from a woman, it could deceive us as men in thinking that there's no difference between wants and needs. Those are things that we will always want and desire. But just because I want and desire that, it doesn't mean that it's responsible of me to bring a woman into my life if I don't have a project for her to help me to, to multiply, expand, or make efficient. So for me, harnessing on my gift, my creativity, because ultimately that's the difference between me and her. I have the power of creativity. She has the power of efficiency. So it's for me to get a woman when I need help to meet the goals of giving the world my gift. So if I
So,
have that, I don't need a woman.
so let me make sure I'm understanding you right. Uh, there has to be something there for you to be trying to accomplish
Yes.
in order for you to bring on a woman, but just for pleasure, you do not believe in that.
No. Oh no. I wouldn't dare do it, because I have understanding now. And my understanding has me to see emphatically, with no doubt or question, that if I bring women into myself for pleasure, I'm only bringing burden and regret to myself. I'm bringing pain and trauma to myself. And because I'm bringing it to myself, I'm bringing it to her too. I'm creating chaos. I'm creating passionate violence. Not violence as in you grab a knife and now NYPD is outside, but violence as in uh, passionate emotion that's uncontrolled and unidentifiable. Okay, it does not submit to some kind of order. There are demands, there are unanswered questions, there's injuries, unresolved issues. All of this, it's a mess. Following behind your sexual desire is a recipe for disaster.
Hmm.
I finally learned that lesson, and I will never disobey it. I will never stray from it. So I don't need a woman for that. I don't have to long for it anymore because I've overcome those things. So if I don't have a purpose where I could say, "Hey, what's your skill set? So what are you good at doing?" You know, or "Oh, you're good at this. You're good at that." Okay, great. Hey,
Now,
here's a vision. You
so
know,
let me ask you, would you ever find any pleasure in someone that is there to help you meet your goal?
yes. But what I learned is that the pleasure will not come from her. The pleasure will come from sharing an experience with her. And the pleasure of sharing the experience of having a thought and then bringing it into existence. There's no greater pleasure for a man. There's no greater pleasure that you had a thought, you had a vision, and now it exists. So
Hmm.
when you share that pleasure with her, that's the ultimate pleasure. There's no greater pleasure than that. And I would love to share that with a woman because when you share it with, say you have woman A and the woman B, what you're sharing are two different values of the same thing. So what you're celebrating about that accomplishment with one woman is going to be a different perspective of what you're celebrating with the other woman because there's different skill sets that's being applied to bring it into existence.
Well,
So
that doesn't seem
celebrating the
fair.
success.
Well, so let's just say woman A helped you meet a goal and accomplish something because she was proficient in, let's just say, answering calls. Okay. And woman B wasn't able to help you in that. And so now you share your pleasure with woman A that B can't participate. How does she get her enjoyment or pleasure celebration? She has to wait until she accomplishes something as well.
Well, I think that's underestimating the value that a woman brings to the situation because
Okay.
surely it wouldn't be just as simple as um, the you know the training, the skill set that she has is not just as simple, but a woman brings magic to the matter.
Yeah.
Uh, there's no way a woman can do something without all the other energy that goes around with it. Men can do that. We could sit in a concrete box and you won't even know we're there, but we're working away. Women bring noise to the atmosphere, energy to the atmosphere. Okay, contagious or magnetic pull to the atmosphere as they do things, and all of that counts. So, what one person meets their goal with in their skill set, while another person's goal is progressing, you celebrate every bit of that because a win for one is a win for all. Because guess what? All
Okay.
of us contributed and invested into the results.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Why do you feel polygyny works better for you than monogamy?
Monogamy is simply dishonest for me. And I don't want to go down in the books as a liar. Nobody's going to call me a liar because I'm not going to be a liar. I will never be pointed out and say, hey, he lied. He was dishonest. He tricked me. He fooled me. No, I won't. Instead, I'm going to give you the chance to tell me, is this what you want to do or not? Okay? Because I'm not going to live life with the reputation of being a liar. That's what I refuse to do. So to answer to monogamy, and I know that that's not me, I'm being a liar. I'm being a fraud. And sooner or later, my nature's going to prevail. And now
Okay.
I'm down, down the street somewhere doing something I shouldn't do because that's not the contract that I signed with you. You
Well, what
see,
would you say to men who believe in monogamy?
men who believe in monogamy, I celebrate them. Okay, I celebrate them. I see nothing wrong with monogamy. I don't think that we should discourage anyone from monogamy because there are those exceptions. However, the overall rule of a man's nature is certainly polygyny, but monogamy is an exception. Just even as Allah said, in the Holy Quran, and of them married two or three or four. But if you cannot be just, marry only one. Okay, one is the exception, not the rule. You see, one is the exception. So it's an exceptional uh, option for a man to choose one woman if he doesn't have the capacity or understanding to have more than one woman.
Okay, well, see, I gotta ask now. So, do you think you personally possess the ability to be just to more than just one?
Yes, I do.
More than two?
Yes, I do.
More than four?
Yes, I do. It don't matter the number.
Wow!
The,
Don't
the, the
matter
number
the number.
the number doesn't make a difference.
So, I guess the key question is, what do you consider just?
Just is not stepping into an attached disposition with any person, because anything that you attach to person or thing or experience, institution, organization, anything that you take personally in this life, you have already stepped out of the meaning of this life, and only karma can recover you from that. Okay, so that's what I understand, that principle right there. So no relationship is for me to step into a personal position with. Okay, a relationship is so that we can move the unfolding of a purpose, not for me
Sounds
to.
like a business transaction.
Well, marriage is a business. It's the first business. It's the first institution. It's the
Hmm.
catalyst for how we come to understand how to move in business.
It sounds like, people got to come with an interview and personal references and stuff. So it's just never, you don't believe in any type of emotional connection.
Well, there's certainly emotional connection, but see, emotional connection is the filler. Okay, it's the filler. It's more like you you um, you make the car and then you fill it with gasoline. It's like the emotional connection is more like the gasoline. It gives the energy that drives the motivation and the inspiration.
Okay. So, we got a lot of gentlemen out here, Ifa Bukola, who is, put a little spark or flame under some of our listeners. And some of them are expressing interest. Some of them have already expressed interest and been interested. So I got to ask you, how would you recommend that they balance the dynamic of love and time and commitment, and being just with multiple women?
Okay, first of all, you got to clarify, what God has said about this, and it was explained already that man is to love his wife, and the wife is to respect her husband. Okay, that has to be clarified first of all. Who has to love who? Who has to respect who? So as a man, you have no business out here looking for love. Okay. So that's first. You do not expect that from her, just respect. And if you know that respect is what you're supposed to expect from her, that means I simply have to be respectable. Okay. It's not my job to get you to love me. It's my job to make sure that you can respect me. That's first. So that lets me know what type of character I have to stay in. I have to stay in a character that is respectable, not lovable. Okay. So if my aim is to be lovable to all of you, I already lost because I'm constantly trying to generate a feeling that I want you to experience with me. I already lost. It's impossible to keep up with that. But respect, I can keep up with that because that only takes a certain kind of character and consistency for every woman to respect you. And that's also to be disillusioned at the fact that it doesn't mean that they will always like you every day, but they will respect you if you're respectable. But it doesn't mean they'll always like you.
So you don't mind if you have a woman in your harem that doesn't necessarily like you. She might not even love you, but as long as she respects you, she's one of your wives.
Yes, I don't mind that.
Wow.
I don't mind that.
When does respect and fear or respect and codependency look the same or differ?
Well, fear, you don't get the gift of a person. You get compliance, but you don't get the gift. You also don't get um, the oracle of a woman when she's in a spirit of fear. Okay, a woman is an oracle. So if you have her in the spirit of fear, she's not going to um, fortune tell for you. Okay, she's not going to put you on notice on what's coming. She's not going to make you aware of what's moving in the spirit realm because she has that heightened sensitivity to be in tune with you with that. But if you block her out, she can't help you that way. You never want to mute a woman, because when you mute a woman, when you silence a woman, you're in trouble. You also have to use her talkative nature as a sign of her own contentment. Okay? The more talkative she is, the more contentment that you know is in her heart with you. So why would you mute her? You have to be very careful, because women are like, the moon. You look at the moon and you know, okay, what sign are we in right now? What full moon is this? Taurus, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. Okay, you look at the constellations. You look at that sign. You know exactly where we at. Is it a quarter moon? We building up to a full moon. Okay, we coming to the closure of things.
Mm-hmm.
We coming to a new moon. Okay, a new beginning is about to start. The woman around you, the women around you, they are signs. They are oracles. These are high priestess personally for you. So you have to keep them audible. You have to make sure you never mute them. And you never want them to fear you. You just want them to respect you. And
Now,
if you are projecting fear onto women, you're using power without using authority. That's where that comes from. Okay? So when you use power without authority, you're going to get fear as a result. And a scared person is also a dangerous person.
Okay, that makes sense. So you spoke about all of that. Now I'm going to dig deep personally because you kind of led into it, because now that leads me to thinking, I wonder what qualities you look for in women that you date or potentially court, knowing that you're going to share them with another woman. What qualities do you look for?
How she can be used. Okay? Not only how she can be used, her nature. And what I mean by nature is her temperament. Okay? Her attitude, her temperament, also her character. Because ultimately, you don't want someone who's going to be a liability. Because if this is someone who's going to be your wife or your wives, some level of trust has to be there. Because remember that a woman is taken from the rib of a man, and the rib, it covers the most vital organs of the body. Okay? So that's a vulnerability. So if I'm going to be vulnerable with you in any type of way or capacity, I need to know that you have the character to be able to handle that trust. You see? So that's what I'm looking for. Do you have a value system? You see? What is her value system? What does she believe in? Who does she believe in? What controls and manages her behavior without me having to do it? You see? How does she feel about her father? Was she raised with a father? And 9 out of 10 times, if she wasn't raised with a father, no, that's a no-go. I can't do that.
So you would never date a woman who did not have her father in her life, meaning her mother and her father were not continuously married.
If the father was not a part of how she was raised, developed, and educated in her upbringing, if she did not get a positive influence from the father, no, I don't want any dealings with that.
Wow. Why is that?
Because at this age, I don't have the capacity, the energy to heal a woman. Okay, to heal and cure, catch a woman up. Okay, I need that understanding to be there. I'm a man,
Understanding of
and I'm
what,
not.
though?
The understanding of the fact that I'm a man. Okay, and if you didn't have a father, you won't know what that means.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow.
You also won't be able to read my language of love. Okay, because again, it's in my duty to love you, but you respect me. Okay, so I owe you love. But what does that love look like? What does it feel like? If you didn't have a father, you would have no idea. And I can't entertain your misunderstandings of what love is. I can't entertain that.
So your love is likened and akin to what her
It's
father's
father.
love is.
Yes. A man's love is fatherly, just as a woman's love is motherly. Understand?
Hmm. Okay.
And this is where submission comes in. Okay. So when a woman's motherly love it manifests in your life, you owe submission to that motherly love and what it's calling you to do or change.
Are these the same rules you had from your previous relationships?
Not entirely. There's a lot I did not understand at that time.
Okay. All
There's
right.
a lot that I did not understand.
So, how do you communicate your intentions and expectations to women early in your relationship? Like, how do you let them know, hey, I believe in polygamy. I expect you to be able to contribute so much X, Y, and Z, or, this is a business deal, woo, 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 woo. How do you communicate that, what your sole purpose and intention is, to the women that you are interested in dating?
Well, I would just be sure to make sure. I would just be sure to um, make sure there's no surprises, misunderstandings, or misconceptions. Because ultimately, I don't need somebody getting into an emotional space with themselves or with me. And then when the moment of disillusionment comes, you turn back around and say, oh, I did this to you because it hurts. Okay. So I rather bust your bubble in the beginning. Okay. So I might give you all these fuzzy feelings. Okay. I give women fuzzy feelings a lot. Okay. I realize it's about myself. Fuzzy feelings. Okay. But I have to, you know, bring it back to reality. Okay. And bringing it back to reality, that keeps me in a space of integrity. Like, listen, I'm not shooting game to you.
Right.
Okay. I'm not trying to, get you in a space where you say, no, this is who I am. And if
Yeah.
it's what you are about, or if it's what you believe in, okay, then so be it. But just remember that this is what you agreed to.
Okay.
You know,
Uh, can women change their minds?
of course, everybody has a free will. You know.
Yeah, but you might have some women say, "Okay, yeah, 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 I'll do it," just to get in it because they want you, which is the prize, or that specific man. But then when they get into it, and it all depends on the other women that are involved, and some women might say, "You know what? I don't think I could do this." Do Is she supposed to excuse herself, or do you let the other women go?
Well, if you understood that at the beginning, and now you have a change of mind, you're free to have a change of mind. But that doesn't mean that I have to stop what I'm doing and creating, okay, to accommodate you. I will be supportive to you to find your way through that challenge, to find your way through that crisis. But it doesn't mean that I'm supposed to stop what I'm doing because you have a change of mind. Because guess what? You're an adult.
Mm. Now, are there children involved in this, and how does that look?
I mean, I guess it's a hypothetical. You
Yeah.
understand?
But,
I mean,
once you do start bringing children into it, it's not a matter of just changing your mind and walk away. There's children are now involved.
yeah.
And, how does that look among the women? Are they all supposed to, um, love each other's children as their own? I guess that's something that the women discuss. And then, uh, have you ever brought in women that had previous children? Is that a thing for you? Would you condone that? Would you accept that?
I've had that experience, yes, where there were children that were not mine, in the situation, and I see it a very healthy thing. The polygynous um, culture, design, lifestyle. There's a really fruitful opportunity in that. The support, the emotional support, the security that children get to experience in it, networking, sharing of responsibilities and duties, and it allows for a plethora of options and strategies how you can move about your day, and get things done. So I think it's a real blessing to take that into consideration, especially for women who have children that are single. Okay, single parents. I think it's a really great idea for single parents to consider.
Okay, okay. Do you think more single parents would consider it because they have children versus single women who do not have children?
No, I'm not convinced that that women are selfless enough to think that way.
Hmm. I think that some people might consider that more desperation. When you have children, especially depends on the amount. And, some people might say, oh, she went ahead and decided to participate in polygamy or polygyny. She already has 2 kids or 3 or 4 kids, and, she doesn't have other options, like a single woman would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
You,
often,
mhm.
often in polygynous relationships, because I've lived in many polygynous communities. Okay, so it's not just ideas that I'm coming with off my head, but experience as a Muslim. And what I've experienced before is that there's a lot of judgment and scrutiny that single women or women in monogamous relationships will pass over to women who are in polygynous situations. Okay. And what is ironic about it is that um, many don't know that they're already in a polygynous situation or polygamous situation. Okay. So there are participants in it willingly and unwillingly, knowingly and unknowingly. Okay. So it's an act of it's an act of God, okay, that you as a woman are having your man to yourself. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's his rare spot in the UFO.
Okay.
So, shouldn't flatter themselves and thinking that, oh, I got my man to myself. No, you have a status of having a man to yourself because that helps you to feel secure about yourself. But you
Okay.
know that you don't have your man to yourself, but you're willing to deal with that as long as you don't got to look at it.
Mm, that's deep. I don't think every woman wants to accept that or believe that. Uh, but that's a different episode. So tell me, how do you? I guess what I want to ask is, what role does trust and honesty play in your relationships with each of your partners? Like, how do you establish the trust in your relationship with each of your partner? Does it look the same? Is it different? What?
Well, trust and transparency. People have their thresholds and their walls up in different places for different reasons, and we want to make people feel comfortable in where they feel vulnerable, while at the same time making sure that the environment is safe and not overbearing, and that each one of us are safe and not overbearing when the truth does come out or when honesty is expressed. Okay. So whenever a person is overbearing, they get lied to. All right. People hold back from people who are overbearing. So if you can't handle the truth, if I can't handle the truth and I blow up and explode every time I hear the truth, okay, nobody's going to be honest. So it's more of having a safe environment for a person to express themselves truthfully or sincerely.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as Prophet Muhammad said, a believer is one who is safe from the tongue and hand of another believer.
Wow. Have you ever had to manage? And if you haven't, how would you recommend manage jealousy or rivalry within the women in your life?
Okay, some level of jealousy is not a bad thing because when there's jealousy, it shows that it's a sign that there's still a sense of value in where you're at. You value where you're at and you value who you're with. So jealousy is a healthy sign. So you don't want to burden a person or be overbearing to a person who expresses jealousy. But instead, I think it's fair to console a person, to reassure them that who you are is not something that can be imitated, and what you have to offer cannot be imitated. And this is not just to make them feel good, but it's the truth. No woman can be imitated by another woman. if she's being authentic. So really, it is to coach the woman to find her authenticity or to regain clear sight of her authenticity, because that is really the solution for the jealousy.
I like that. If she's operating out of authenticity.
Yes.
So none of the women still get jealous about other things outside of themselves, like maybe you spending more time with the other person, or maybe you have children with the other person and not yet have children with the other. There's no other forms of jealousy that might come in. Maybe one cooks better than the other. I don't know.
That was a constant reoccurring thing. Okay, you have matters of one wife leaves leftover food, okay, in the refrigerator. uh I might want to heat the food up. She comes out and tries the food, and she's, oh, this tastes terrible, I wouldn't have made it like that. Oh, you put too much of this in there, that, scrutinizing, okay, and different things of that nature. But here's the thing: as a man, you're being trusted, okay, to be an advocate for each person in their absence. And you betray that person when you allow someone to backbite them, to talk bad of them, or to say things that are not good or right of them. You betray that person. And when you betray that person, you create karma that's going to fall back on you. Because now one thing she has an up on the other. One is laying the other low in secret, okay? And you're enabling this, you're allowing this to go on. And what's it going to do? It's going to come back and bite you as the man. Okay. So you have to put a stop to those type of things, and you have to raise it up. So somebody says, oh, this is terrible, I don't know why you made that, the food like that. Hold on. I would never allow anyone to disrespect you or insult you in your absence. And I can't allow you to disrespect her or insult her in her absence. So let's not speak that way. Let's find something good to say. You understand? It's as simple as that. It's like kindergarten. Okay.
Well, you're saying that. I guess I'm kind of confused because you said in your absence. Are y'all not all eating dinner together? How does that work?
See, these slide things in person, okay, that's a different approach. But what I'm speaking about is the jealousy, the expressions of jealousy. It's like in the absence of the person, behind the person's back, you're going to try to get up on that person. All right. While they're not around. Okay. And you're going to see if you could get close to him by putting that person down and raising yourself up. So behind that person, you got to advocate. Now, in person, okay, it's the same thing. You got to speak to the principle. Speak to the principle. You don't personalize it, okay? Now, in person, you can personalize it when it's behind somebody. But when everybody's together, you got to speak to the principle. So when somebody violates a principle, okay, such as that, jealousy, animosity, competition, you have to speak it out without names, without directing it at any individual, but reinforce the principle, verbalize it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We
but
don't see need to compete with one another. We don't put
okay.
each
So
other
I
down.
gotta ask.
Yeah.
So, in your past, have you ever been upset at wife A? Maybe wife A did something and it really pissed you off, you know, and now you're at wife C house. It's your time to spend with wife C. Do you ever verbalize what wife A did that pissed you off or anything?
Yes, I did that before. It was a terrible mistake.
Oh.
It was a terrible mistake. It gave me a personal insight into why that should never be done. A personal insight.
And what is that? Why?
Because what you're doing is you're sowing seeds of confusion, animosity, and separation. Okay. You also are sowing seeds of favoritism, but it's again, it's mutiny, it's betrayal. Okay. You might feel like you have pressure on you and you're justified to go and say this to that person about what you're going through, but no, you're not justified because you're entrusted with that person's secrets. You're also being trusted to be their protector, their guardian. And if you're a protector and guardian, you're protecting and safeguarding their name, their image, their reputation, and you're protecting their back while they can't see it.
Mm.
So just because you have a gripe, you're upset, something's going on, every relationship that you have is a monogamous relationship that is sacred between you and her. Okay. Even though this is polygamous or polygynous, okay, it's still monogamous between each individual. That's a separate contract, and you cannot violate the contract between you and one woman.
So,
It's sacred.
well, that's how do you ensure that each of your partner though feels valued and prioritized, or is that such a thing?
It is a thing because the value is in your identity. Okay. It's in your identity, not your personality. It's in your identity. That's where the value is at. So again, reinforcing what your identity is, what your authentic uniqueness is, and pouring into that, speaking to it, calling it forth, calling it to come out. Okay. Praising it, giving gratitude and acknowledgement to it, the unique attributes of every individual. That's how you water the garden.
Okay, well let's get into more of the family, the structure and the business aspect of it. I'm curious. What strategies do you use to manage the whole overall financial responsibilities of having multiple households, or do you share one household?
Well, sharing one household and or having more than one household, that's not. I don't see that as a one fits all formula. That's what all those involved are going to negotiate because every person doesn't want to live with other women. Okay,
Right.
some people want their own house. Some people don't mind living with other co-wives, and some people are very sensitive about that. Some may prefer to be in a different state or a different city, a different side of town. Okay, next door. So the unique personality of every individual, the emotional needs of every individual, or whatever the individual needs of their own authentic self should be honored, acknowledged, and respected.
Yeah,
So the
but
design has to reflect the needs of every individual.
but if each woman says that they want their own household, are you responsible with providing for each household, or are all of these women still responsible for providing solely, not solely, but providing for their own households?
You're responsible for entertaining the woman that you have the capacity for. So it's not for you to change her mind or change her ideas. So these are things that you talk about early on before that you make the contract. You see? So if you understand that she wants all of that and the other person wants all of this or whatever else, you have to be honest about your capacity and rather or not, that's what you could do for her. Okay. And if it's not what you could do for her, you can tell her that's not what I could do for you, but this is what I could do for you. And if that's a problem for her, you have to allow her the freedom to seek her own destiny.
Well, in your past, were you going between separate households, or were you all living together?
I've experienced both.
Oh, interesting.
I've experienced both
Oh, so you've been, wait a minute. So you've had polygamous relationships
two
more than
times, two times.
two times. Okay.
Yes, times.
Wow.
The
So
most recent was just 9 years, uh, 8 years ago.
that was your most recent 8 years ago. And did you saying you shared households?
My most recent, we did not share households. The first time we did.
Okay. So which worked better for you as the man to be able to I guess manage it all?
It's the personalities because you could share a household with personalities that don't work together well in a household because they're a little too needy, or arrogant. You understand? Whatever the traits are, okay? Territorial, things of that nature. And then you can have a situation where you're in separate households, but someone may be very sensitive about how long you're gone, or not being able to physically be with you at certain times. So I don't think it's a thing of which one works better, but who's involved in it is what makes the difference.
Yes. So it doesn't matter if they share the household. You're saying it matters with who's involved in it.
Yes, I really,
The reason why I'm
that,
asking that because I'm looking at it more of a financial standpoint and more of a protection standpoint. So from your aspect as the man that has to be able to financially provide for multiple households versus one and provide security for multiple households.
no, that's a limitation of provision.
I'm sorry?
That's a limitation of provision. This is not, you see, provision is not limited to a man buying a woman out of having to be productive in life. That's not provision. Provision is, what can I do for you that you can't do for yourself, that you need? Okay, and that could be management, wisdom, bringing culture, values, containment, such as infrastructure, fatherly figure. It's too many provisions that a man can bring to a household, and every woman doesn't need the same form of provision.
So would you say you're more probably would be attracted to women who are already I don't know, I guess established, already have their own place, their own income coming in and everything, and can say to you directly, hey, I just need you for X, Y, and Z. I got everything else covered. Or would you be more leaning to someone who's still at their parents' house, ready to come out of their parents' house, being married off to maybe you, and you have to provide everything?
I'm not. I don't have um, a set thought on that, because that's not something I've been contemplating, because I really haven't been thinking about relationships at all. To be honest. But at the stage of life that I'm in, I don't believe that I would want to just seek out a woman that I'm fully providing for, and I'm just putting her in a house and she just sits in there like a trophy. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
I want a productive situation.
So, what is your role as a leader in these relationships?
My role is, it's according to who they are. That is my role in their life. Now, my role in their life and their role in my life, are two different experiences. But my role in their life is according to what provision they need of me.
Mm.
Every woman doesn't need the same provision.
Hmm. Yeah,
That would determine what my role is.
that's true. How do you set, rules, Ifa Bukola? How do you set rules or boundaries and to keep the relationships healthy and respectful towards each other?
Well, that's something that would have to evolve, because events, crisis, fallouts, arguments, different things of that nature. This is what informs the culture in the household. Of course, there's a basic foundation, the essential principles. Um, thou shalt not kill. Don't obviously don't be disrespectful of other people's property. You understand? Don't curse in the house. Take your shoes off when you come in. Yada yada. All that stuff. The basic things. If you got home training, but particular details that forms a culture, it comes over time. It has to evolve into a culture that we all honor and respect. Okay, so as people shed blood, tears, and sweat, that's what lets us know what boundaries to set in place.
Okay. Okay. So how, this is a very hot topic. And not everybody would say that they believe in this. And I would say men and women. Have you had any or heard of any criticism? How do you handle it, and judgment from other people who don't really understand or accept polygamy or polygyny?
Well, I've heard a lot of judgment. Stuff like, "Oh, he's over there pimping those women." Uh, you know, uh, those women got low self-esteem. All these different things. But really, it's the other way around. Okay, it's the other way around. Low self-esteem. You might find that in the person who's trying to hide in a monogamous illusion. That's low self-esteem because it's not monogamy, but you need somebody to pretend with you
Oh,
because you have a greater concern of what the public has to say about you, not what you understand to be the truth. And then when the truth comes at your front door, you want to divorce, you want to now rock the world of the children, you want to cry and pretend like you didn't know this is the case in the first place. But really, it's that your reputation and your ego is hurt more than anything.
kind of reminds me of Cardi B and Offset, but
Right.
sorry.
So women who, step into a polygynous situation, they tend to have a capacity to be more realistic and honest with themselves.
Have you had to face any hard societal or cultural pressures,
But
this type of lifestyle?
plenty times, walk like going on dates with my wives, walking in public, one by this side and one by that side, walking down the street, they're both holding my hand. We sitting at the dinner table, we laughing it up and, smooches and all this other good stuff. You understand? Those different type of things. People don't like that a lot of times because really, I think a lot of people are jealous of it. Okay. How come I can't do it? You know,
Yeah.
and then these illusions of, oh, you got to be rich to do that. No, you don't. You just have to be a man to know who you are. That's all.
Well, that's true. Some women might say, "Well, he's got to be able to afford to do
No,
this."
you don't. No, you don't. The women who say that are women who are using and leveraging uh, public opinion, public agreement to have an advantage. That's all that is. But that's the man's fault if he falls for it.
Hmm.
Because you, as an adult, have no business relieving another adult of their life responsibilities in their life. This is 2024. And women fought ruthlessly to have equal access into the world market. And they have it. And they're flourishing with it. They're not lacking in it. So now that they have fought for that status, that is no longer a leveraging argument that any woman can project a hold over a man that you have to put me in the house. You got to pay all my bills. You got to do all this. Okay, bye. See you later. Why are you dealing with that? It's an illusion.
Hmm.
And no man has to have that.
So
No, you
you
don't.
are with some men who are not financially stable, mentally mature, financially mature.
Looking for a woman if he's in that crisis.
Huh?
No man who's not, if a man is not financially stable, if he doesn't have balance and stability in his life, self sufficiency in his life, he has no business seeking out a woman. No business seeking out a woman. You have to get your life together. Then you seek out a woman
Yeah.
because you're in survival mode until you address and solve that crisis in your life. And you cannot peacefully coexist with a woman in survival mode, nor can you submit your will to a woman in order to have help because now she will look at you different. You will lose all of your power and authority.
Hmm.
You go and get a woman when you're ready to create and give back out to the world. That's when you get a woman.
Wow.
And you have to do that from a stable stance. You don't get yourself together so that you can buy her out of her adult duties. You get yourself together so that you can be present with her and creating something.
Do you think that it's easier to practice polygamy in more of I don't know, Black or Muslim states than it is in other states?
Can you say that again?
Do you think that it's easier to practice polygamy, multiple wives, in a Muslim state or a Black state than it is in other states?
I would think so because there's when you look around you, you don't feel alienated. You understand? Like for example, the New Yorks, the New Jerseys, the Philadelphia, especially. Um, Columbia, South Carolina. Um, you know, Greensboro, North Carolina. Okay. I've been all over every masjid you could think of. I've been there many times. Okay. So these type of communities, you tend not to feel alienated, because people understand. Nobody's looking at you. Fairfax, Virginia. People are not just looking at you. They're not pointing you out and looking at you like you're a freak or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
But then,
What does a successful polygamy relationship look like to you?
the women involved wear a smile on their face and they're talkative. That's a sign right there. There's nothing else to be said. They're talkative and they're smiling.
Hmm. They're talk.
That's the sign every time in a monogamous and a polygynous relationship. She's talkative and she's smiling. That's the sign right there.
Do the children have a say in it?
The children, um, the children should be free to express themselves respectfully. Okay, but the mother and the father, uh, the mother and the father, or the proposed father, if it's an inherited situation, I don't know. Um, that's their business. Okay, and minors who are being taken care of by parents, uh, that ain't their business.
Oh, okay. Do you see this as a long-term lifestyle for yourself?
I would only consider it as long term. You know, I don't. I wouldn't want to get involved or awaken a woman in that way in any kind of way if I didn't really mean to be entirely involved.
Now,
Uh,
if you get old and you're in your 60s and 70s, and perhaps some of your wives have fell off for whatever way, maybe physically, or they just decide to separate, could you be okay with just one person, a monogamous relationship in your 60s and 70s? Or do you think you still need to bring in more than one?
I probably would more desire more than one. Because at that point, I think I would have even more to give.
Hmm. Okay. So physically, that's not necessarily should be considered a priority of a woman.
Physically, what do you mean?
Physically, like, so as you get older, if you can't perform sexually or physically uh,
Uh,
as often as you once did,
yeah.
um, is that you know what a woman, one of your wives, should consider, or is that kind of out the window? That's why I asked if in 60s and 70s, would you still try to look for more than one wife because you might not be able to physically please them?
Well, that's a strong possibility, but it's also, in being transparent, having the transparency there. I think that if I'm 60, it may or may not be obvious that I'm 60. Okay, but sooner or later she will understand that and what comes with being 60. So, hopefully she would have the common sense to know not to get into something that she knows there's a strong probability of her experiencing.
Now, if I would call out, we have some men that are in their, a few in their 20s, but some in their 30s, a lot in their 40s, plenty in their 50s, and probably a lot in their 60s and 70s that cannot physically fulfill the needs of just one woman, and I'm talking about sexually and being able to fulfill a woman totally without the assistance of some medicine or things like that. Do you think those type of men are capable or should have more than one woman in a relationship?
I don't think so, unless the women are elders and they've already gotten past that need. But sex is a need, and once you open it in a relationship, you can't just close it back up, because now you're going to need it again and
I
again.
think that men can fulfill the polygamous relationship, physically more than a woman can.
Okay, I'm not sure if I'm on your first question or not, or you. Wait, what you say? Can you say that again?
There's some people that say, okay, men are supposed to have more than one wife because look at how many millions of, spermicides that they release versus women who genetically only have a limited number of eggs. Do you think that genetically and physically this is meant to happen for men versus and women are supposed to accept that based on the, genetic dynamics of it all?
Absolutely. But where the crisis comes in at is how healthy are Americans these days?
Hmm.
That's the problem. Your health. It'll be confusing for people who don't honor and prioritize their health.
Mhm.
Because if you're healthy, you don't have that problem.
Do you see this as a long-term lifestyle, that will grow and develop over the next 10, 20 years?
Yeah, exponentially. Because with where we just turned politically, with America turning red, liberalism taking its tumble downwards, it's spiraling downwards. A lot of the systems, infrastructure, political, infrastructure that stood behind women's empowerment, that now is going to be released, is going to be dismantled, and not to put women in a undesirable position, but to construct that ideal is no longer a priority of America.
Mm.
The women's rights, women empowerment, that is no longer going to be something that America is entertaining. Okay. So, with that being the case, um, conservatism, the red Republican will over America is going to completely change how business, enterprise, corporations, earning power, and uh, the world market, education, all these things are going to change because now there's no more liberal DEI, affirmative action, hire me because I have a vagina, these different type of things. All of that is over. It is over. And because that is over, it's a level playing field. And
Yeah.
now what's going to have to be acknowledged is the strength of men.
Okay. Now, and do you have children out of your polygamous relationship?
No,
Okay.
only with one woman, two
But
sons, one woman.
polygamous relationship when you conceive them.
Say again.
Are you in a polygamous relationship when you conceive them?
Am I in? No, I'm not in a relationship.
No, were you in a polygamous relationship when you conceived your children?
Yes.
Okay. So, how do you want to be remembered in terms of your relationships with your wives and with your children, and the way you lived your life?
I want to be remembered as a source of culture that gives them security, identity, strength, and wisdom. That's what I want to be remembered as.
Say that again.
I
Security.
want to. I want to be remembered as the source of a culture that they can take pride in, that gives them identity, that gives them strength, that gives them wisdom, that gives them security.
Yeah. Well done. All right.
Have these conversations. Bring it out in the open. Talk about it. Discuss it. And most of all, let's be authentic. Our most authentic expression, universally, is that which is consistent with the image and likeness of God. That is, of course, to be consistent with the will of love and truth. Love and truth. Love and truth includes understanding. Understanding is the best part. Wisdom, we know, is a principal thing. If we avoid these discussions, if we avoid acknowledging it, anytime we avoid dealing with the truth, we then have to deal with disillusionment. Disillusionment comes at the most unexpected hours, the most inconvenient times in our life. It startles us and shocks us with a challenge to the reality that we wanted to construct in contradiction to what is true. Then we're challenged at that time to cling on to what we wanted to be true, or learn to let it go so that we can embrace what is to be true. Understand, this is a point of transformation. Father God, grant us a serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Men need to freely speak about this, talk about this, have the conversation. But before we even do, let's learn how to remove ourselves, separate ourselves from our perversions, from our lower base thinking, chasing behind our sexual impulse, the idea to exploit and use females for the limitation of gratification. No good is going to come from it. We have to hold ourselves accountable in a mature space with wisdom and knowing that we are creators and co-creators at all times. What you use your tongue to speak out, what you use your hand and your feet to take action upon, you have authorized a process of creation by yourself or with others. Do not create oppression in the earth. Do not harm, oppress, abuse, mistreat other people because of your beliefs or because of what you see right in your eyes. If you are in contract such as a relationship, the other person has a right upon you, and you should honor it always. Never cheat. Don't lie. Be honest. Whatever you seek to do, do so honestly, and do so in ways that includes wisdom so that we avoid oppressing other people. Polygyny is not for everyone. And although I am of the belief that it is the nature of every man, it doesn't mean that we should take action on it unprepared or in a course that is not wise, honorable, noble, or within integrity. Understand, we should not use our nature to justify oppression in any measure. Every person, as men, every person should feel safe from our tongue and safe from our hand. Before considering any relationship, please know your purpose. Know your purpose. Why are you here? What are you supposed to be doing while you're here? What are you designed to do? What have you been engineered to accomplish? What's your purpose? What challenges will your life consist of that are unique and that are quite traditional? This can help to inform you on what type of assistance or support that you need, what type of talents and gifts that you have to incorporate into your vision, who you have to get involved, to what extent. Clarifying your intentions around your purpose. If you have difficulty figuring this out, if it's hard for you to clarify this, that's where I come in at. I can help you. You can schedule at www.ifabukolahi.com the infamousastrologist.com. That's where you can get in touch with me so that I can help you to clarify your purpose, your role in life, the theme and story that unfolds in your life, the challenges that will be there, what it consists of. You need clarification on self so that you can have authority with self, alignment with purpose. This is very important, not only for your confidence, but for the confidence of those who may have to walk next to or even behind you. Understand?